Yes. Welcome to Emuna is our future with true pleasure. What an important class. We're going live during the Sefirat days. Thank God. It looks like everything's good. It's working. We have to appreciate it every time we have the opportunity to come together. Right now, over me. That was a good song. So we have to be excited for the days we are in. We are Lechtek Achra B'Midbar, as we spoke about last week in our beautiful class on being very focused on a larger picture that we have, the goals and the focus, especially we mentioned in the relationship podcast, in order to have successful relationships, there needs to be that focus, that Gevorah, that restraint of all the noise around us, the ability to be truly present. As they talk about, and Gedalia Fenster brings up the idea of being in the power of now, but he always says, what are you going to do with it? Yeah. So here we are, thank God, and another day in the studio after a wonderful class last night. Baruch Hashem, I just went over all the material with Jodeci, Joseph. Unbelievable class here in the studio with Rav Shalom Orish, our host. He was sitting right next to us. And Baruch Hashem, we have also Rav Dayan Elgod translating again and back with us in the DHC, the Daily Halakhic Corner. We're learning about how to be honoring our fellow human being. And specifically, he's been talking about Kohanim. And the good news is, you have a Kohen with you right now. I am a Kohen, and I have that opportunity to live in Yerushalayim HaKodesh. And I don't take it for granted, and I appreciate all your love and support that I've had online. Thank God we're getting a lot of views and a lot of positive feedback, and it means a lot to us to be able to join you on a weekly level. And I thank Hashem that right now, even though we do have some fantastic Wi-Fi in the studio, which I was able to access last night for the first time, right now the studio people who give us access are not here. And at some point, the good news is we will be going through the whole Marechet, the whole system. And this will be like with all the graphics, and you'll see one camera, and the final edited version will come out with a live version like we do with Rav Orish. And you won't have to have this funny angle on the Facebook and YouTube Live. It will all go through one camera and maybe even some other cool angles. Maybe we'll have some lights and pop and crackle and all this fun stuff. I'm just being silly. But the point is that the next level is with our class is to be able to do everything through one system. Right now, we thank God it's worked, and it's worked successfully. And that's part of the flow. Like last night, for example, I wanted to have a little live Instagram for you guys on the table just to get that more like friendly energy rather than the whole system. And everything was working somewhat with the new Wi-Fi I finally got in. And then I forgot to save it onto the Instagram Live. So what did I do? I decided on that channel to just upload the full thing. And that's what we've done this morning. You can go check it out on all our different platforms. And it was a great class. It was very much needed for our times, unity and diversity. Today we're going to focus on unity and truth. The truth is the focus. We need to be able to understand what our true purpose is here, to be able to enjoy this world, especially being that this week we went from Shmini now to Parshas Tazria Metzorah, double Parsha. That's a lot of Torah learning to be done this week, please God. And you guys should join us successfully in that learning. Something which we shouldn't take for granted every time, but just making sure everything's good here. Yeah, you guys are seeing me over there. You need to give me some feedback just so I know we're all good, because I don't see everything here. Just going to have a little look. Let's just make sure. Where is it? Yes. There we are. So you guys just need to tell me everything's good, and I'll be more relaxed about the network. It's important that you're seeing me and hearing me, and we're able to share this experience fully. Once again, we always, thank God, have our podcast that we put up on a weekly level. And one of the amazing things is what the WordPress has joined with Spotify, which is the owner of Anchor app, and it's gone onto a blog version. So we now have, as you can see in the description below, once again, I always put these in our links below in YouTube and everything else. You can see over there very easily how everything is, thank God, available for you guys to be able to access in the best way possible. So just checking everything here is good. Yep. Okay, let's see. We have to appreciate when things work, and things flow, things go with a momentum. Shalom. Yes, we have a friend reaching out. That's brilliant. So that's what I was asking for. Now that you've given me some contact, Shalom and Boker Tov. This is Yosef David Avraham, wishing you well and excited to be here. Like I said, we have 3 now podcasts. We have the Emuna is Our Future and Relationship Flow podcast and Unity Flow podcast. And we have the links all below. Is now in the blog format. So you can access everything, the YouTube videos, the notes, all the stuff that's on through the blogs. And once again, we have our growing website, breslov.co.il. We have had a delay on uploading the edited version of the videos, but please God, at some point soon that will be fixed. And we have our YouTube, our growing YouTube channel, almost to 10,000 subscribers. It's up to you guys to make it grow that next level by sharing it with your friends. We have some from Colombia. Welcome. Wow, that's given me that extra push now to get into the class today. Now we've had the intro, and since we are in these Sefirat days, these holy Sefirat HaOmer, it's an amazing time for us to grow together. That's what yes. And Joseph, wow, this guy really enjoyed it. The feedback is a great inspiration as a fellow Jew of his color, teaching related to me and my mishpacha. Beautiful. I hope you didn't mind me reading that out, but you did put it there in the public thing. It's beautiful inspiration. That is the way we need to go, to really put out there a lot of unity and diversity content. And the key is, like Jodeci himself is going to be doing, he's going to be sitting in yeshiva in Chappelle's, and he's going to be learning. We had his Gevorah here yesterday, and we're hopefully hosting them both this Shabbos at my house. And we had the opportunity to take that inspiration that we initially get when we first come Pesach night, or we come back to Judaism. We get this gadlus rishon as a result. We mentioned this before, this big upliftment and this big elevation, and Hashem takes us out of all our limitations, and he lifts us up. Mashivi Abara. So he takes us to this place of positivity, to be around the Divim and all the kind, generous energy and positivity, and that's the kind of vibe that we get initially to inspire us to make those initial changes like happened in Mitzrayim. Then we have the opportunity to then work on ourselves, and that's the Sefirat HaOmer on a daily level, bringing it into our daily life, inspiration. And it can be hard. There can be some struggles. And here we have someone else, our same friend, that says, my family has officially joined the Breslov community because of how Breslov has welcomed us. So Rabbi Eli, he's saying, nachas. Yeah, we should only have nachas. I think, is that what you meant? Anyway, the point is that we have that ability to bring it into our daily life. Yes, with our family, our friends, our work, our economical and our environmental, and all the different aspects of our inner world, the soul level. We have to bring this tremendous light that came to us Seder night and Pesach, and Hashem took us out of our limitations and brings us the opportunity to connect all the way till we get to Shavuos, to His holy Torah. There's a process, a step-by-step map of how we can work on our soul. And we went from Gevorah, as we mentioned last week, that focus, that intense focus, into Tiferes. This is the next step. This is where we're holding now on this Rosh Chodesh Iyar, Good Chodesh. It should be a blessed new month, a month of Sefira. The whole month is Sefira. We have the opportunity to purify. Saper is the lotion of to purify, to cleanse our soul. As we say in the special prayers after we count the Sefira, if you look in the Siddur, the Rebbeinu Shalom, there's beautiful words over there. And I'm not going to say all the words, but they also brings, by doing that purification, a tremendous shefa rav, a tremendous amount of positivity, divine abundance and providence and connection. And that's the kind of life people nowadays in Corona challenged 2021 society, that's the kind of life we want to live. A life which has purpose, has truth, has focus, as we mentioned with Gevorah. And then once we get to that next stage of balance, everyone's very into the concept of balance nowadays. You hear that when people want to discuss truth, having true wisdom, is very much at one with the yin-yang of balance, of that balancing out of darkness, of light, balancing out your midot, your character traits. But we have to remember, the Yaakov Avinu was the epitome. And each time we've mentioned a different person who represents these divine attributes that we're connecting ourselves to. So we started off with Pesach, with Avram, the Ish Chesed, and Yitzchak is Gevorah. He's the one who's guiding us to be strong and have an awesome life. And then we go into this Yaakov Avinu, this idea of this Ish Emes, this Tam, someone who's just truthful, someone who's Yoshev Oholim. He's in the tents of Torah. He's guiding himself with the wisdom that is founded on ancient truths and universal values that everyone in the world knows is truth and cannot be undermined by even the most powerful media that there is nowadays, cannot undermine intrinsic values, even though they try hard. And they almost to the point where it's like it's going out of control right now, how far it's going in terms of the Mesiras Nefesh. We have the ability on our level to be Moshe Nefesh, to be giving of ourselves, to be self-sacrifice towards these values, towards this truth. And one of the most important ways of doing that is using our time management, dedicating time in our week to learning Torah. Me personally, no matter what, I wake up in the morning, just like I remember seeing my father, I mentioned this before, reading the newspaper. I wake up and I learn the Chumash. I do the Parsha of that day, the diary of the day, as the Babich Rebbe so wisely taught. We have the opportunity, and then we have Rav Orish's teachings to learn through the Garden Emuna books. Right now, personally, I'm going back to Forest Fields to work on my Spodidus. My son beautifully asked this week, Zalmi, Shmuel Zalman Mordechai asked me, what is a Spodidus? I was watching some of the Rav Orish videos, which is my dream, that my children are, thank God, learning from these videos. And they were watching Rav Orish, Rav Shalom Orish doing his avoda in Hebrew, because my son's main language in reading is in Hebrew, his mama Lashon, even though he speaks English in the house. And he was watching this video of Rav Orish, and this beautiful video, please God, we'll try to get it up on our channels as well in English, but it's a beautiful video of him going to do a Spodidus with this Rav of Svi. And please God, you see over there how he does his whole avoda and how he connects in nature to Hashem Yisbarach, how he talks to Hashem, and how he does that whole daily focus. So that's something I'm taking on myself now to try work on doing more Hisbodidus and understanding it and getting clear the system. And it's been inspired by my own children. And that is one of the things. Our friend here wrote, nachas from our children. The biggest nachas we get is when they teach us. They inspire us to change. As I was saying, I've been learning a lot of Likutei Halachos with my oldest son. And over there's some beautiful inspiration of Sefirat HaOmer, of how we have the power during this time to really elevate our whole life through understanding the gadlus, the greatness of Shavuos and the Kabbalah Torah that's influencing these days. Because really, these weeks, Sheva Shabbos, Tamimos, each week is connected to the Shabbos, and that's why we mentioned Tazria Matzorah. It's connected to the Shabbos that we read the Kriya, and we have the Sheva Shabbos, these 7 holy Shabboses which we're counting each day, and the Shabbos is influencing, like we say, each week has a divine emanation. So Shabbos is the pinnacle of that divine emanation. And it's influencing the whole week that was and is coming. And the Shabbos, the Sheva Shabbos, the 7 Shabbos are then come together to culminate in Shavuos. And the key is to understand that we are constantly being influenced by this larger Olam Haba mitzvah reality of being connected to the Sivui of Hashem, of the commandments of Hashem, the Devekas, the oneness, the connection. I'm feeling myself going off and up and up and up in how I'm talking. So let's just bring it down into daily life. So for example, you have an opportunity, wake up in the morning, say Moda'ani, you thank Hashem for life, the gift of life, and then suddenly comes into my head where a guest speaker we'd love to have here, Charlie Harari, we're talking to him, his people. He mentioned about his family from the Shoah and how they had such an appreciation in his podcast, The Pursuit of Awesomeness, as we mentioned last week. He had such a joy hearing from his parents, his grandparents, about how much they appreciate just basic life, to just have a normal day. Something we can think about, how each day, especially during Sefirah, each day has its own emanation. Like today is Chesed Shabbat No, coming up, that'll be tonight, because we're culminating. Let me just remind myself. Yes, today would be Chesed Shabbat. So because Tiferes is the week, and Chesed, the kindness, is how it's emanating today. And tomorrow Gevorah, and the next day Tiferes Shabbat, which is a very intense experience of that emanation of truth and balance and all those beautiful qualities that Tiferes represents. That's the concepts of each day. But then there's also, on a practical level, how just having a healthy life, having everything we need, not being, God forbid, in a death camp like his parents and somehow survived, Baruch Hashem, his grandparents, and then all the people that went through such things and during the gulags, and as you know, Lewis Howes, I think, was being recommended by Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu was recommending Lewis Howes about this concept of gulags and how someone there was able to attach himself to such powerful principles of what life's about. And same with, as we know, Viktor Frankl did in the Holocaust. These moments of intensity, of challenge, can bring out the most intense connection to truth and to values that are life-changing. So we don't want it to come from that kind of negativity. It has to come from the everyday life. That was what Charlie's point was. That from the everyday life, we should come to those higher levels of appreciation. That's the kind of energy we need to bring with us into our Sefirat days, the counting that we're doing right now. So let's get into Shabbos, this Shabbos. The Shabbos is Tazria Metzora. Tazria Metzora is all about fixing up how we speak. So we shouldn't speak Lashon Hara, because if we do, there's going to be like ramifications that manifest on a physical level, either on our clothing, on our body, on our home. And we either have to go through this purification process, go to the Kohen and purify ourselves. But the concept of these parshas are to remind us that there's a nega saras. Nega saras is when we take the way Hashem wants to have a divine flow through, and the way we experience it through how we express ourselves about it. He wants us to express positivity and to bring out the good of creation and the good of other people. Because in the end, there's no real purpose to talk not good about someone in the end, unless there's some painful experience going on. And then there's rules about how to do that and how to, in Ta'elis, in a purposeful way, have that conversation with someone. And hopefully that, we should be safe from those kind of conversations, but when we do have them, they should be done in the halakhic way, in a way that's guided, so it doesn't create negativity in the world. It's rather trying to come to a solution, a healing. So that's the kind of vibe that we get from Parshat Tazria Metzora. So the nega is the same osius as oneg. Oneg is pleasure. And that's why we call this class true pleasure. To understand in this world that the nega saras, that this negative manifestation of Hashem's divine influence, where the letters are out of order, need to be restored back to oneg. And that's what Shabbos does every week. The Sheva Shabbos, these 7 Shabboses that we're in during the Sefirat, they have the power to bring everything back to its tikkun. That's the idea, the neshama of Yaakov Avinu, the neshama of Tzaddikim, is to bring everything back to the way it should be. That's when you have a connection, say, to Rav Shalom Arush or to Emuna content. We're learning these beautiful things. Someone like Jodeci comes back to the Torah and he sits in yeshiva. He's fixing up, and including myself as well, he's making seder of this more chaotic potential that, I know myself. I'm a more chaotic kind of person. I'm more like a neshama of tohu, as someone once called me. It was either his insulting me or whatever, a neshama of chaos. But then you bring it into the tikkun. That's the idea, that we have to bring it back into a seder, into an order. An order, not the new order, but an order that inspires us to come close to godliness, to become more godly. And like we said, the Seder night is a self-influencing order into our life, but like an order that's spiritual, that's kind and filled with godly virtues and values. And that's the kind of life we want to live, a life of godliness. So this oneg is when the letters are correct. Why? Because oneg is the letters ayin, nun, gimel. Oneg is Aden, Na, Gan. This Rav Tzadok talks about this beautiful concept. Rav Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin. He brings down the idea that we should bring the shefa from above, from the divine higher levels of Aden, Gan Eden, this beautiful world of Aden, bringing it through the Na, through this river, into the Gan. So it can replenish the Gan, this divine influence. And that's really the inner aspect of oneg. When you're experiencing this aneg al Hashem on Shabbos, you're enjoying the Shabbos Sudas, and you're in this aneg, you're experiencing true pleasure. What it means to have the pleasure of the soul and the ruach, the spirit and the body, everything's united in that unified experience. When you eat Shabbos, it says all the worlds go up. Aliyah Olamas, all the worlds have an aliyah. So everything now becomes more spiritual. The food, the drink, the sleep, all the physical aspects of life have an aliyah. It makes sense of everything you're doing during the 6 days of the week. Now you have a 7th aspect, the 7th dimension. It gives it the purpose, like you build a house around me. I'm sitting in a studio in Yerushalayim, and I have 6 dimensions around me. I have the 4 walls, and the up and the down, the ceiling and the floor. And then I come and bring a bottle of wine, a challah, I make kiddush, I eat the challah, I make a motzi lechem menorah, it's elevating the food. This is giving purpose to this room that I built. It's the same too with the world. You have this whole world around us, and comes people of spirituality, of value, of truth. Comes a Yaakov Avinu, or comes a Jodeci, and they come and they make a blessing on the food. He comes Rav Orish, and he elevates everything that he's touching. That's the idea of a tzaddik. He takes this world and brings it up to a higher level, and that's Shabbos. Everything goes up automatically. It's like a free elevation that you get every week just by tuning in to Shabbos, just by taking upon yourself Shabbos Kodesh. That's the kind of energy that we have on a weekly level on Shabbos. And Tazria Mitzorah, we have a complete guiding light of Shabbos. When we read these parshas, it seems very long, and there's a lot of laws, and going out the machaneh, all the quarantines that go on over there, and everyone's had enough of this quarantine, especially with COVID. We don't want to hear any more about being locked down and being people that don't speak well. That's what the Torah itself guides. So you could say, oh, maybe there's a connection, whatever. But the point is, on a positive level, let's aneg al Hashem. Go into the asay tov. Go into the oneg. Go into the pleasure. Go into the pleasure of Torah. Go into the pleasure of being a good person, going to the pleasure of being kind and caring, going into the pleasure of living truth, of living values that are emes, that stand for eternity, going to the pleasure that exists within creation. Hashem wants us, the creator of the world, wants us to enjoy his world. He doesn't want us to damage it, obviously. It's not a way of showing appreciation to damage when someone gives you a present or gives you a gift or gives you a meal, to start throwing all the food around and turning the table up and making a fight and making a whole balagan and God forbid swearing at the person who just gave you the food. The challenge is for us to say, no, thank you, Hashem, like Rav Orish teaches us. Thank you, Hashem, for this world. Thank you, Hashem, for the ability to this aneg, to take pleasure. He made it that we should enjoy food. He made it that we should enjoy a connection between a man and woman, that we should enjoy a connection, relationships. He made things clear with truth, and we can enjoy being in this world. And that's the kind of true pleasure that can guide us to live a life of true Emuna. That once we start to see now that everything we come in contact with, say our challenges of money, everyone right now is having more challenge of money. So Yaakov Avinu, you saw how much he went out of his way to make sure he would shomer. He was guarding his property to make sure, but not in a way that was like crazy and OCD or trying to be controlling or pursuing money like the people think the pursuit of happiness is the pursuit of money. No, it was a certain respect for the creation, that Hashem's giving you these things, and that each thing has its purpose, its tachlis, its tikkun, and you take each thing that you have in the right time, in the right way, in every single scenario, and you use it to be elevated, to lift up the experience of this world. And that's the kind of sapsa, that's the kind of mitzvah that we're involved with, that really Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nosson say in L'Kutei Halachot that everything is olam haba, everything is this world to come, everything has this new energy. Once you start to understand the inner root level of creation, the root level has the shoirish, has within it tremendous spirituality, and it wouldn't exist if it wasn't that case. Things exist because there's tremendous spirituality. And then when you have the opportunity to learn these concepts and share them, thank God, and to live a more elevated life, you're going to go take a cup of water after some very first, haven't drunk anything, and you make a shah, koni b'dvorah, and you say how Hashem, everything Hashem made is with his words, and you realize that the words have value, and then you go speak to someone, and you speak to your loved one, and you give her encouragement, or you speak to your children, and you give them encouragement, and you try to control yourself like we learned last week, being able to focus ourselves and be in control of ourselves, and to have awesome lifestyle, to have a life that's really awesome, that has a certain feeling of purpose, but not only that we have self-control, that we do have self-control, that we are able to enjoy our life and not just be pushed around from one Netflix video to another Netflix video. We're able to just turn it off or cancel our Netflix. We're able to please God, use our time in this world more valuably, and realize that sleeping well and doing exercise and keeping balanced is the healthy lifestyle, and that we can live a fulfilled life, that Hashem's given us all the tools on a daily level to live a more happy and fulfilled life. That's the kind of Emuna lifestyle. If you go through all the Garden Emuna books, you see it's all within there. So we ask you all, being that we're now coming to the end of this class this week, how can you bring more true pleasure into your life? How can you start to see the root level? How can you start to understand how Shabbos is influencing the week on a true level? How can you start to incorporating more true values and not letting the media dictate false values? There's so much false values out there that we have to stand up strong for the true values in our life, stand up strong for the true values in the world nowadays. And it doesn't have to be, God forbid, in a way that makes arguments. It can be darchei shalom, it can be in the way of peace. As we see from Rav Orish all the time, he always tries to stay away from the machlokeses, the arguments that are going on politically and currently and religiously even. We have to go on the path of peace and please God bring out the good from all the people around us. And some people have gone through some painful experiences. We can have Rahmanas and mercy on them, please God, and hopefully if they're Baal Das, they have wisdom, and we can have mercy, and we can bring the world back to the time where we understand that really the life can be pleasurable. As Tony Robbins, there was someone who inspired me very much when I was getting into the idea of how I could work in the world with energy and inspiration. I went to Tony Robbins' books, and you start to see that he wants you to understand that you can enjoy life. It doesn't have to be, God forbid, an experience which is painful. You can have passion in your work. You can have passion in what you're doing. And that's the kind of energy we have to bring into our daily life and into our Sefirat HaOmer. As Rav Orish says, we have to have that will, that rotzen, ishtokakus, to really look forward to this completion of cycles that we're going through as we come to that climax Shavuos. It's not so long away. But first things first, what do we have coming up? Let's just have a little before we end off this class and we go towards Shabbos. After Shabbos, we're going to have the opportunity to host Rav Moshe Polstein, a neighbor in the area of our Shchuna neighborhood. He is a Rav who, thank God, has a good name, and I've heard a lot of young people who have been inspired by him. We'll put up his links, please God, once we've gone through the whole process of sharing Joseph's classes. And once again, you guys can reach out anytime you want to book Jodeci on our network. It's available there. You see the links below. Check it out. And please God, we're hoping to do another course again for you guys for United Souls. And we hope, please God, to keep sharing these classes more and more. The other big news is Rav Moshe Weinberger Shlita will be joining us in 2 weeks' time, a little bit less now than 2 weeks, 2 weeks, a week on Sunday. So it'll be on the 25th of April. He'll be here. And we're very excited to have Moshe Weinberger on Zoom from New York come into our studio. We had someone kindly sponsor it, and that's an opportunity you guys can help us, because we are talking to Charlie Harari and Rawawe Jacobson, and it would be ideal if we could have a sponsor and pay them for their time, because they're obviously very busy and successful speakers. We'd like to also have more musicians. We mentioned Mendy Weinreb, bring back Yoni Gabali, bring back our friends, bring back other people. But we'd like you guys to send us some of your ideas. You can give feedback of other musicians. I know you mentioned in the past people like Yonatan Mazel and Aviata Bona. We'd love to have them come. Yishai Ribo, imagine having him come to the studio. But you guys will have to send us your connection to them, please God, if you have those connections, because honestly, Yonatan Mazel, I've been emailing for I'm a pretty persistent guy. I was emailing for many years, and I thank God I didn't have the merit to ever. Shuli Ran, yes, another person. We can have lots of wonderful guests. Thank you for just leave the feedback below in the comments, or once the class is done in the underneath the description. You guys are welcome to share these classes. Let's make them global. We want these classes. Jodeci's class needs to go out there. People need to hear it. The world needs to see that we are unified in diversity in the Jewish people. And in this class, we have unity and truth. The truth is important to us. We stand on it. That I personally live my whole life by truth. I personally have been guiding this path. Why am I involved with what I'm doing? It's because it's true. It's truth. And once I see any not truth, I'll have to adjust to where the truth is. And that's the whole idea, that you have to be honest and truthful and constantly guide your life in a true way. And that will give you the Sata Dishmaya, the divine assistance with money things, how to maneuver yourself, how to make the right business choices, how to make the right material choices, where to live, who to marry for your children, if you're already married yourself, how to help them with that process, and all the different things that life is about. Once you have truth, it's a whole different experience. And the key is to enjoy the aspect that goes together with everything we're doing over here. So I give you all a blessing. We should keep going strong. And we should please God have a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh. Let's aneg al Hashem, to enjoy everything in this world, to enjoy our relationships, to enjoy our family, to enjoy Shabbos Kodesh. We're already eating challahs again. Wow, what a challahs, yummy challahs. Enjoy these basic things, and with that will give us the room to bring down much more divine abundance in our life, because we'll be oneg, the Adam will be coming down through the rivers into our gan, into our home, into our life, into our hearts, into everything we're doing. We'll have this connection to Hashem that gives us only abundance, only positivity, and all the darkness will fade away, and we'll be dancing, please God, in Yerushalayim. Amen. Have a beautiful Shabbos. Thanks for joining, and please share.